finger to the throat means death.
Drax the Destroyer, an anti-hero who is just as humorous as he is powerful, was a breakout character in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Drax's graphic novel counterpart, on the other hand, is substantially stronger and much more serious than the figure introduced in the MCU. One thing the two incarnations have in common is that they both have several origin stories. In the MCU, Drax desired vengeance from Ronan the Accuser for slaughtering his family, then played a bait-and-switch game by blaming Thanos, for whom Ronan worked. However, Drax's various origin tales in comic books are significantly more convoluted. Drax the Destroyer, developed by Jim Starlin, first appeared in Iron Man number 55. In his first appearance, he explained that he was made from the hard soil of a faraway planet by Kronos, creature described in the book as a bodiless, sentient being of unimaginable power. The character's original full title is Drax the Destroyer, in contrast to the Destroyer being a nominative title. The beginnings of Drax have shifted substantially since his creation. He reappeared a year later in Captain Marvel comic number 32 by Mike Friedrich and Jim Starlin. With his entire persona retconned while his newly superpowered form was designed to defeat the Mad Titan, it actually was Drax's humanity that drove him to complete his quest. Before we dive into Drax the Destroyer's origins, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Drax the Destroyer's first appearance in comic books. In the first volume of the 1968 Iron Man comic books, in issue number 55 titled Beware the Blood Brothers, Drax the Destroyer alerts Iron Man regarding the Blood Brothers telepathically, but the two antagonists are already fighting him. The pair knocks him out and transfer him to Thanos' remote fortress. Thanos approaches Drax, revealing that he had been watching him and had chosen not to intervene. Mentor prepares to assist Drax on Titan as Iron Man is dragged into Thanos' stronghold. He fights back and evades the Blood Brothers. Thanos appears and treads on his hand, injuring his right gauntlet while he is attempting to rescue Drax. Iron Man is recaptured by the Blood Brothers, but Isaac and Mentor fire a pulse of energy from Titan via Iron Man's unibeam, breaking Drax's manacles. The Blood Brothers are promptly defeated by Drax and Iron Man. Thanos is about to destroy his headquarters until Drax flips the self-destruct switch. Iron Man hits Thanos in the head, shattering it apart and revealing Thanos has vanished, leaving a mechanical clone in his stead. Drax encourages Iron Man to leave immediately because he suspects a booby trap. The stronghold is destroyed as they leave. Drax believes Thanos is still alive and that he might meet him again. He expresses gratitude to Iron Man for assisting the citizens of Titan. Drax the Destroyer Tragic Backstory. Issue number 31, 32, and 33 of the Captain Marvel comic from 1968 explores Drax the Destroyer's origins in greater depth and detail. In issue number 31 titled The Beginning of the End, in reaction to Thanos' threat, Captain Marvel goes back to the Avengers Mansion and gathers the whole team. He's also invited Moondragon to help, but Drax the Destroyer has arrived at the house in search of Captain Marvel. After Drax engages in a brief battle with a group of Avengers, the crew gathers to discuss Thanos' goals and recent occurrences. Thanos, now wielding the Cosmic Cube, tells his consort named Death that he loves her and that she actually is the cause for his insane quest. He also chooses to transport 4 people from the Avengers Mansion. Mar-Vell, Drax the Destroyer, Moondragon, and Iron Man are the 4 characters who have interfered with him the greatest or have presented a significant threat to him. He transports them in his spaceship, rapidly defeats them, and places them on a stasis field. Captain Marvel trades atoms with Rick Jones by touching his nega bands. He is also liberated as a result of the reaction. Iron Man, Drax, and Moondragon are also liberated, and they launch another attack on Thanos. Thanos has been isolated from the Cosmic Cube for the time being. He is nevertheless able to beat his opponents once more. In a psychic combat, he also beats Moondragon. Thanos then recovers the Cosmic Cube and becomes a cosmic deity. He appears at the conclusion of the issue as a big, translucent form visible in the space monitor. Thanos has become a god. In issue number 32 titled Thanos the Insane God, Captain Marvel, Eros, Drax, Iron Man, Moondragon, and Mentor are at Titan's observatory observatory, where Thanos has just transformed into a godlike entity with the cosmic cube. They are now confronted with a gigantic projection of his head materialized outside of the observatory. Drax, who Kronos created solely to combat Thanos, can do nothing except follow his plan and uselessly strike Thanos' skull with hand blasts. The rest flee the location before it is demolished as Thanos responds with tremendous power. Moondragon is knocked out by flying shrapnel and Mentor awaits to tend her. Mar-Vell takes the other two to the Hall of Science, where Eros is kidnapped by animated vegetation, courtesy of Thanos, and therefore only Iron Man and Captain Marvel make it to their target location. They believe Thanos is still getting acclimated to his godlike abilities and his mortal intellect can only deal with one enemy at a time. The Kree captain wished to travel to the Science Hall so he could consult the Isaac, their greatest hope of stopping the crazy deity. He also says that when Thanos and Drax were fighting, he swiped the cosmic cube, draining its strength. Thanos then summons demonic beings from the floor to fight them. These unliving entities cannot be stopped since they are unharmed even when physically split apart. Soon, IM is eliminated, leaving just Captain Marvel. He also fails to detect Isaac appearing as a hologram. Thanos is conversing with the unknown object of his affection, who he does not yet know is Death. He can now guarantee her the entire universe. Drax, on the other hand, has sprouted from the ruins of the observatory. He cannot die until Thanos dies, so he strikes again. Thanos' answer is to reveal to him his hidden existence before Drax was made by Kronos, hoping that the revelation will weaken his tenacity. In 1953, Yvette and Arthur Douglas, together with their young child Heather, were traveling across the Nevada desert at night when they noticed Thanos' first scout spacecraft to Earth. Thanos wrecked their automobile to protect his secrecy, and Thanos was Art's final sight as he died. Heather, on the other hand, survived and was carried to Titan by benevolent Titanians. As seen in Daredevil number 105, she grew up to become Moondragon. Mentor and Kronos captured Art's spirit, and Kronos fashioned Drax's body for it, as shown in Iron Man issue number 55. Mentor had his human memories erased, however these truths only served to feed Drax's anger towards Thanos even further. Anyway, the Titan god has vanished, so Drax sets out to locate him. We now travel to Avengers Mansion as Lu Ann is concerned about her partner Rick Jones, Mar-Vell's alter persona. Captain America, Black Panther, Mantis, Swordsman, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and Thor band together to resist Thanos' space fleet dispatched against Earth in the previous issue. While Captain Marvel is still fighting monsters, the Isaac hologram appears. Captain Marvel inquires as to how the monsters may be defeated. Isaac says no option. If Captain Marvel exists, they will continue to attack. So, Captain Marvel devises a desperate strategy. In the negative zone, he changes places with Rick, and the monsters come to a halt. Rick now takes the cosmic cube and requests that Isaac take him to Earth. Mar-Vell had theorized that Thanos left the superheroes alive in the previous issue so that they might watch his triumph. The villain's weak spot is his ego, so Rick hurls obscenities at the almighty Titan, instantly catching his attention. Thanos, according to Rick, has never challenged Captain Marvel in face-to-face combat because he is frightened of him. He persuades the deity to reincarnate as a corporeal entity, and Thanos orders Captain Marvel to come back from the negative zone in order to confront him. In issue number 33, titled The God Himself, after the events of Avengers number 125 comic, Captain Marvel is beaten in combat against Thanos, who has been strengthened by the cosmic cube. Upon his failure, Mar-Vell is rescued by Isaac, who warns him of the dangers if Thanos is left to have his own merry way. Elsewhere, Thanos has made all of the Earth's population vanish and assumed the form of a deity. Mar-Vell teams up with Mantis and Drax the Destroyer from the Avengers to take on the cube-empowered Thanos. In a fight over the precious cube, Mar-Vell stakes his life to demolish it, undoing Thanos' havoc and forfeiting the demigod's life to death itself. Drax's physical stature, abilities, and intellect all alter over the course of the series. He is practically invulnerable and very powerful at first. He can survive in space, fly, and use telepathic talents, and a link to Titan's supercomputer, Isaac. Drax gains even more power after one reincarnation, but experiences neurological damage, which causes his temperament to become more infantile. Adam Warlock bestows the power gem upon him that he only utilizes unconsciously, to strengthen himself. Drax's powers are becoming more constant. He still has superhuman strength and is extremely difficult to kill or even harm. He is also a master-class warrior who can destroy his opponents with a variety of weapons. Thanos is at the very top of Drax's adversary list since he was directly made in response to him. He attempts to destroy the Mad Titan more often than anybody can count and succeeds only a few times. In his adventures, he encounters almost every interstellar adversary, but he also battles future and previous colleagues like Captain Marvel and also the Silver Surfer. Drax also obstructs Annihilus and his swarm of negative zone bug creatures before becoming involved in Ultron's attempt to use the Phalanx to overthrow the Kree Empire. Also being a guardian of the galaxy, he battles the Universal Church of Truth, Jason of Spartax, the Cancerverse, and a slew of other villains. Drax joins forces with Silver Surfer, Captain Marvel, and Adam Warlock in his universe full of enormous cosmic events. Adam even adds him to the Infinity Watch, an organization in which each member owns an Infinity Gem. Drax travels the spaceways along with a young adolescent named Cammy. He meets Peter Quill, Nova Richard Rider, and other fighters during Annihilation and the Annihilation Conquest. He also becomes a part of Quill's Guardians of the Galaxy in their initial form and continues to serve with them to this day. Captain Marvel and Drax would have a lot of disagreements, but they reunited before Captain Marvel passed away. Drax even provided Marvel some sound counsel about death shortly before the Kree warrior died. After Thanos died briefly, Drax wandered the cosmos with his daughter Moondragon. Father and daughter traveled together until she exalted herself to goddess status. To thwart her, Drax dispatched her spacecraft to Earth to recruit several Avengers for help. Drax appeared to be under Heather's influence when they arrived. Drax perished at Moondragon's hand after breaking free. The Grandmaster deployed Drax to face the Avengers as part of a second Legion of the Unliving while still dead, although he returned to the world of the living not too long after Thanos died. Due to severe brain injury during his rebirth, he had a significantly bigger physical body and the perceived maturity level of a youngster this time. Instead of retaining the Infinity Gauntlet for him, Warlock formed the Infinity Watch organization and gave each member one of the stones. He chose Drax for the group together with Gamora, Moondragon, Thanos, and Pip the Troll in secret. Drax earned a power gem as well as a spot on a crew that would build a stronghold on Monster Island and aid in the saving of reality throughout the Infinity Crusade and Infinity War. Thanos misled the Surfer so that he could concentrate on his evil goal to acquire the Infinity Gauntlet and the stones that fueled it, resulting in a huge war with the Mad Titan that destroyed close to half of all living things. After engaging with Gensvel and dwelling in the Microverse, our hero Drax, who arrived in an isolated Alaskan community with Lunatic, the Blood Brothers, and Habok the Skrull, quickly clashed with his other aliens. He was beaten and thrown down a cliff, allowing the others to capture the town. During this period, Drax underwent a transformation that ended in a less addled head, a slimmer body, and crimson tattoos on his shoulders and arms. Soon after his recovery, Drax met Cammy, a teenage girl who became his faithful companion. Drax dodged being accused by the Nova Corps for slaughtering 200,000 beings due to an alteration in his DNA thanks to his regeneration. They met Ryder to figure out how to leave the largely lifeless planet. Drax offered to teach Ryder about how to concentrate and correctly wield the complete Nova Force that dwelt in his mind in return for locating a spacecraft that could transport them away. Drax was the first one to identify Annihilus as the driving force behind the wave, and he told his newfound comrades, Quasar and Nova, that they could halt the whole wave by murdering the Hive's leader. Quasar was killed in the initial fight, but Cammy and Drax swooped in with a spacecraft to save the fallen rider. Phyla Vel came in the middle of the battle to inform Drax that Thanos had taken his daughter Moondragon. He didn't answer immediately and instead fought the wave on a planet so that rebels could get ahead with Cammy, thereby terminating their collaboration. He then fought his way towards Thanos, punching a hole in his spine and ripping out the heart of the Mad Titan in front of Moondragon. To make up for her error, Drax unleashed the Silver Surfer, who then freed his old master Galactus. Galactus sent Moondragon and Drax to a realm apart from the action to show his gratitude. Finally, his preparation with Ryder bore fruit when the Nova killed Annihilus, thereby ending the battle. Drax got out of the way till the Phalanx infected Gamora, and Nova found him and made him a select. After Nova outperformed the Phalanx programming, he joined forces with Gamora in order to take on the Rider. They pursued him into nowhere and then another planet, where he formed an alliance with the Technarch and erstwhile new X-Man Warlock, who worked out how to rid them of their Phalanx. Drax then joined Gamora, Nova, Warlock, and Tyro on the real battlefield to aid in the eventual destruction of Ultron and his Phalanx army. Drax quickly joined Peter Quill and the fledgling Guardians of the Galaxy in order to put a stop to potentially tremendous threats while they were still in their infancy. Drax assisted Phyla Vel in resurrecting her girlfriend and his daughter Moondragon, despite having to contend with a Dragon of the Moon, Maelstrom, and Oblivion. Later, while attempting to prevent the Cancerverse menace from overrunning their world, Drax appears to have been killed by Thanos. It was eventually found that no one from the ordinary universe could die there, thus understanding the futility of fighting any opponents. Richard Rider killed himself to return Star-Lord and Drax home. The Guardians of the Galaxy quickly reassembled to assist the Avengers in thwarting Thanos' next scheme. He and his companions spent the next age protecting Earth, defeating Thanos, freeing an alternate universe's Jean Grey from Shi'ar, overseeing Peter Quill as the Spartax government's leader, acting as a guardian underneath Kitty Pryde, and battling Hala and Mr. Knife. They also joined the Second Earth Superheroes Civil War to protect teammate Carol Danvers, also known as Captain Marvel. Drax goes off on his own to assassinate Thanos again under Pryde's command of the Guardians. He failed his original task, but he was able to spend time with Terrax, battle in Fin Fang Foom's ring, and reunite with Pip the Troll and Cammy. Drax came to a lonely planet to hunt between the events of the Second Civil War and reunited with Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, and Rocket as the brand new Guardians of the Galaxy, but ended up encountering a race of slavers and poachers. He promptly assassinated the bad men, only to learn that they'd linked their own lives to the lives of their slaves. If one of the bad dudes died, so would the innocents. Following that incident, Drax adopted a pacifist vow that required a tremendous deal of attention and determination to keep, while his comrades aren't sure why he keeps rolling with them, given violence is nearly always the outcome of their acts. They want him around as he's family. Amazing story of Drax the Destroyer from MCU. As most Marvel fans are aware, there will always be variances between the film and comic book versions of a character. For years, we watched disputes erupt from Adam Warlock's outstanding debut to the shifts among the Eternals. Of course, Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy has altered dramatically from page to screen. In the MCU flicks, he transitioned from a human to a full-fledged alien, and although some fans weren't concerned by his most evident transformation, others were loud about their distaste. As with any fandom, Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn has studied all of the comments he received and explained why MCU Drax's origins differs from the comic books. Drax the Destroyer is a crowd favorite, yet his origin has caused some fans to become perplexed. The MCU director wants his cast to come from all walks of life and the galaxy. Furthermore, instead of the original Guardians, he built his Guardian squad based on the 2008 edition of the comics. The origin backstory of the extraterrestrial strongman had changed several times by that point in the plot, so this variation of Drax was the one that audiences got to see on the silver screen. That squad was essentially a collection of different species banding together to fight on Thanos and all his minions, so extraterrestrial Drax made sense. While the murder is a similar thread in all renditions, the film catches up with him when he is a prisoner intent on murdering Ronan the Accuser. In the comics, he was built to catch and destroy Thanos for good of the cosmos, so the parallels and variances aren't too far from his Marvel days. While fans haven't seen the extraterrestrial superhero and his squad since Avengers Endgame, they'll be seeing more of them in the next year. Things will get started when he appears with the rest of the Guardians in Thor: Love and Thunder. Drax is descended from the Kylosians, a primitive race seen as naive and utterly underdeveloped by the more evolved galactic races. Drax met a lady named Ovette while attending a military rally with his tribe, starting a relationship with her owing to her lack of enthusiasm at the celebrations, and the two had a child named Tamaria. The population was arbitrarily divided into two groups by the warlord Thanos, and one of those groups was executed. Drax was placed on the side that survived, but Tamaria and Ovette were killed along with the rest. Drax became vengeful and embarked on a brutal rampage around the galaxy. He was apprehended by the Nova Corps and taken to the Kill-In after being convicted with over 22 charges of murder and 5 counts of severe bodily injury. Drax was serving his time in the Kill-In when Gamora, Thanos' adopted daughter, arrived. Drax revealed that because Ronan had murdered his family, he planned to murder one of Ronan's children. Gamora, on the other hand, disarmed Drax while stating that she was not Thanos' or Ronan's daughter and that she was the sole chance of stopping them. Before Drax could exact his vengeance, he was stopped by Rocket Raccoon and Star-Lord, who insisted on Drax keeping Gamora alive in order to entice Ronan to the Kill-In. Despite some confusion, Drax finally accepted that this was the best idea and he let Gamora go. Drax then escapes prison with the help of the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy and gets into a confrontation with Gamora during the escape. Drax proposed using the orb to murder Ronan, the Accuser, which sparked a debate between Gamora and him. Drax and the others headed to Nowhere to give the orb to a man named Tenalir Tivan, whom Gamora had promised to sell the orb to. Drax was walking across Nowhere, frustrated by his team's failure to work together to eliminate Ronan the Accuser, when he noticed the Nowhere dispatcher who was at the Tivan dispatch center. Drax approached the dispatcher as he was ordering supplies and threatened to chop off his head with his twin blades unless he called Ronan and brought him to Nowhere so he could murder him and finally avenge his family. Drax prepared his knives as Ronan the Accuser approached, while the rest of the party realized that within the orb was an Infinity Stone strong enough to demolish a planet. Though Ronan tried to leave, not considering Drax a formidable adversary, Drax refused to let his adversary go. Ronan calmly avoids Drax's attacks while continuing to give Nebula orders to recapture the orb off Drax's comrades. Despite Drax's best efforts to slay the considerably more powerful Kree warrior, Ronan the Accuser was easily able to defeat him. Ronan denied Drax's charges of killing his family, stating he had forgotten about them. Drax was then hauled across the streets by his foot before he was dumped into a tank of celestial spinal fluid and allowed to die. Drax almost drowned in the fluid, but Groot rescued him just in time. Rocket Raccoon blamed Drax for Gamora and Quill's abduction, and Drax recognized that he used his fury to mask his anguish. They finally succeed in rescuing Gamora and Quill. Eventually, Quill proposed to his plan to assault the Dark Aster, defeat Ronan the Accuser, and reclaim the orb. Despite the fact that the plan appeared to be a dangerous mission, Drax stuck by Quill and promised to battle with him. Drax slipped on his new outfit and prepared to carry out the plan. Drax then kills Korath, the Pursuer, and the squad is successful in killing Ronan. With Ronan no longer alive, Quill handed a phony orb to Yondu Udonta and all his Ravagers in order for them to surrender the genuine orb to the famous Nova Corps for safekeeping. Drax promised to eliminate Thanos next. Later, Drax joined Quill's crew, which was dubbed the Guardians of the Galaxy, and went across the cosmos. The Guardians of the Galaxy were well known throughout the galaxy following the Battle of Xandar. The Guardians were recruited by the Sovereign to hunt down the Obelisk, which was consuming the Anlax batteries. Drax attempted but failed to kill Obelisk, but the rest of the Guardians managed to destroy it and rescue him, much to their chagrin. Drax accompanied the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy in hailing Ayesha on their win against the Obelisk. As Ayesha handed up Nebula as their reward for slaying the beast, the squad was later ambushed and learned it actually was the Sovereign demanding vengeance for the Guardians stealing the batteries, which Drax then mistakenly disclosed to all the others. However, the Guardians were able to flee and regroup. Although Gamora was still enraged by the occurrence, they questioned how Ayesha's whole fleet of Sovereign ships could have been unexpectedly annihilated by some other person's ship. The gathering was disrupted by the unexpected appearance of Ego's ship. Drax was later asked to visit Ego's planet. Drax, along with Peter Quill, Gamora, and Mantis, landed on Ego's planet and was immediately enthralled. Drax spent some time with Mantis there. Mantis then utilized her talents to sense Drax's emotions, and she was overcome by the anguish and despair she discovered. Mantis led Drax and Gamora to their chambers, insisting that there was nothing to tell Drax until Gamora interrupted her. Later, Mantis notified Drax and his companions that they were in danger. Drax and the other Guardians of the Galaxy went to the palace in order to prevent Peter Quill being used as batteries as part of Ego's expansion. In the meantime, the Sovereign's fleet reached Ego's orbit in order to destroy the Guardians of the Galaxy. Quill utilized his skills to combat Ego, and Ego's grasp on the Guardians was broken, allowing them to flee. 4 years afterwards, the Guardians of the Galaxy answered a distress signal from the Statesman on their new space spacecraft the Benatar, albeit Drax was sleeping in his seat for much of the ride. When it was discovered that Thanos was attempting to combine all 6 Infinity Stones, the choice was made to separate the Guardians. Drax traveled to Nowhere with Gamora, Quill and Mantis as Groot, and Rocket Raccoon accompanied Thor to Nidavellir. When they arrived to Nowhere, Thanos was attempting to compel the Collector to hand the Reality Stone to him. Drax attempted to confront Thanos to avenge his daughter and wife. When Drax awoke, Thanos had already gotten the Reality Stone, and the museum was on fire. Thanos utilized the Space Stone to travel away from Nowhere as Drax reverted to his regular form. The gang received a message informing them about Gamora, and also that they needed to travel to Titan. The Guardians arrived on the planet and boarded a Q-ship which had just crash-landed and attacked Peter Parker, Tony Stark, and also Doctor Strange, thinking them to be in cahoots with Thanos. When Thanos appeared, Drax, the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Strange worked together to stop him. Drax then assisted in stopping Thanos by grabbing his leg. When Quill learned from Nebula how Thanos had murdered Gamora, he fell into a frenzy and let Thanos escape the trap. Thanos then used the Power Stone to take out Quill, Drax, and Nebula before raining down a moon on the planet. Parker thankfully was able to save Quill, Drax, and Nebula. Mantis alerted Drax and the rest of them to the fact that something was wrong before shattering into dust. Drax was resurrected in 2023 as a consequence of the blip. Drax then protected Korg from the Cull Obsidian by attacking Obsidian from behind and enabled Korg to attack Obsidian. What makes Drax the Destroyer so powerful? Drax, as a Kylosian, possesses superhuman abilities such as power and impact-resistant skin. He is also quite athletic. Drax is physically stronger than most species able to carry heavy objects, easily smash through stone and metal, and rip machinery in pieces with his bare hands. Most creatures cannot survive Drax's assaults. Drax is more agile than others, capable of leaping tremendous distances or large heights with accuracy. Drax may battle with the Guardians for extended periods of time. Drax's cells renew quicker than most other animals. Drax's skin cells regenerate at a far faster pace than the rest of his cells, helping him to heal from superficial and minor wounds more quickly. Drax has proved to be a harsh yet skilled warrior capable of overwhelming several opponents. Drax is an expert with knives, especially his own twin knives. He can also throw knives with finesse. He is also an excellent marksman and fluent in several languages. Drax's preferred weapons are 2 knives, which he frequently uses in battle. Drax utilized Rocket Raccoon's Hadron Enforcer to scare the Ravagers. Drax and the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy have used the Power Stone during their last confrontation with Ronan the Accuser. When the Guardians were pursued by a sovereign fleet, Drax donned a spacesuit. A simple remark made by a fellow Guardians of the Galaxy member was underlined that the comic portrayal of Drax the Destroyer has depths and nuances that go beyond his representation in the MCU. The movie adaptation of Drax is portrayed as a vengeful strongman and sometimes comedic relief, although the comic book version is far more complex. In fact, when one considers this version's goals and basic existence, one gets the impression that Drax lost more than just his diseased family and that he'd already matured into a complicated entity. And there you have it, folks. If you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.